Move over, other Avengers! Since Brie Larson's Captain Marvel flew onto the scene in her own self-titled debut movie, nerds everywhere were quick to exclaim that Carol Danvers was the all-powerful being to beat.
I like this one.
We here at ScreenRant beg to differ. Here's why Captain Marvel may not be the most powerful Avenger in the known Marvel Cinematic Universe. When Captain Marvel was first released in March of 2019, many fans rejoiced. We were given our first Marvel feature film with a female lead. Brie Larson definitely looks the part, and while her character's amnesia may have made her a bit hard to relate to at first, the Oscar-winning actress ultimately found a way to make the all-powerful Danvers relatable when she regained her humanity, or at least her memories of what it was like to be human. She still had seemingly unlimited power gained from when the engine of Marvel's experimental craft exploded. Fans and comic experts alike were quick to point out that Captain Marvel just might be the mightiest of Earth's mightiest heroes. Others in the fan community have argued that while Carol Danvers is a formidable force, she can't compare to other heroes we're more familiar with. In the pro-Captain Marvel camp is the head of Marvel Studios himself, Kevin Feige. When introducing the idea of Captain Marvel to the general public, he stated she's one of the most popular characters in the comics, and will be one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, it's nice to give a character like Carol some goals to aspire to. How is she supposed to lead a team like the Avengers if she has enough power to overwhelm opponents on her own? Carol Danvers' iteration of Captain Marvel can fly as fast as Mach 3, which is 2,301 miles per hour, meaning she could make the cross-country trip from New York to LA in around an hour and 10 minutes. Make her go binary, and the captain can travel through space at light speed. Beat that, Kal-El! Also, she doesn't slow down! In fact, she can hop from place to place and fire destructive energy blasts at will, non-stop for a full Earth day like a crazy radioactive 24-hour party person. She can also lift around 100,000 pounds and barely break a sweat. So with super strength, super invulnerability, and a sponge-like ability to absorb whatever energy is sent her way and expel it back out at her enemies, Carol is nigh unstoppable. And with her hypersensitivity to the energy fields floating around the universe, she can monitor any cosmic events occurring on a grand scale. She's got it all. Whether she's just her normal superpowered self, lifting trucks, buildings, and meteors, or she's got the full power of a star stored within her, Danvers literally could have the whole world in her hands. So what makes her less powerful than any of the other Avengers in the MCU's roster? Well, her powers may originate from the mutation to her DNA after getting too close to that exploding ship. So while she's got a little Kree in her, she's still a life form that originated on Earth. A god, she is not. There is, however, a literal god on the Avengers team, everyone's favorite Asgardian Thor.
Me.
Sure, Chris Hemsworth's Thor cuts a more imposing physical presence than Brie Larson's Captain Marvel.
I am mighty.
But Thor is a superhero by birth, and the extra time he's had to get used to his superpowers gives him some advantages on Carol Danvers' newfound abilities. While Kevin Feige himself may have stated that Captain Marvel was to become the most powerful Avenger of all, he may not have been paying attention to his company's own records on the subject. The power rankings of each superhero's abilities are listed on Marvel.com, and as of the lead-up to the release of the Captain Marvel film, Thor actually had a higher skill level than Danvers. They're tied with durability, energy source, combat abilities, and Marvel is a notch higher than Thor in the intelligence department. Yet for both speed and strength, two essential skill sets on any hero's resume, Thor scores a 7 in both, compared to Captain Marvel's 5. While we haven't seen Thor outmaneuver any black holes or punch any comets lately, we'll take Marvel.com at their word.
At least make it a challenge for me.
And assume that the blonde-haired Asgardian pretty boy packs a stronger punch than Marvel's prized pupil. Earlier comics even depicted Carol Danvers in her pre-Captain Marvel days. Here, she was unable to raise Thor's giant dumbbells in his Avengers training center. Now, how about when she finally took on the mantle of Captain Marvel and her powers grew tenfold? While we can't pit them together in any Pokemon-like battle, we know that when the two characters teamed up to face off against uber villains like Thanos, they each garnered different results. Even after Captain Marvel had gone binary, she was no match for Thanos' fist, getting knocked out cold from a punch by the prune-chin Titan. Thor, on the other hand, was able to inflict several blows, both by conjuring lightning strikes and swinging his trusty hammer. While he took some hits from Thanos, Thor was able to stay conscious. And hey, Carol can go on zipping across the galaxy for a whole day without any shut-eye and a single bowl of Wheaties. But Thor fought a full army of undead for nearly 3 months. Beat that, Star Lady. Beyond Thor, we haven't even talked about the Incredible Hulk. Sure, the Hulk isn't great at controlling his powers, but we're not comparing self-restraint. We're comparing brute force.
Smash.
With no one holding him back, the Hulk can absorb hit after hit and keep going. Bruce Banner's anger can make him a galactically ranked star gladiator, as we saw in Thor Ragnarok. The Hulk's only problem is that there's the chance Carol Danvers' ability to manipulate energy might mean that any type of gamma radiation therapy she sends the Hulk's way could depower Bruce Banner. That is, if he isn't able to maintain his angry feelings to begin with. Muscle and brawn may play a big part in the Avengers' power struggle, but strength isn't everything. Captain America is often the leader of the team because of the respect he commands from his fellow teammates. And Tony Stark just has buckets full of charisma.
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
And Ant-Man can shrink himself into the space between spaces, into a quantum realm that seems difficult for someone like Captain Marvel to access. The sum of Carol's powers might be more than most of these aforementioned characters, but it's hard to say definitively that she'd be able to handily win any one-on-one face-off, unless she decimates her opponents with an energy blast, the likes of which the MCU has yet to see. Plus, the mystical mind powers of Doctor Strange just might be enough to confuse and overwhelm Danvers in a one-off battle between those two characters. Carol Danvers' powers seem otherworldly, but they're rooted in the rules of physics that govern our universe. She's just able to harness more energy than your average superhero. While Doctor Strange could not take her on in a physical fight, he just might be able to confuse her by manipulating her perception of reality. Who wouldn't get dizzy in a vision inflicted on them by Doctor Strange's ability to make the world all out of whack in an Inception-like kaleidoscope of unreality? Sure, that sounds like crazy mumbo-jumbo, but the Sorcerer Supreme, if he focused all of his powers, would likely be able to overwhelm her senses. While Captain Marvel's cosmic awareness allows her to see through this type of trickery and predict her opponent's moves several steps ahead, Carol Danvers may be intelligent, but she's not as intelligent as Stephen Strange.
Doctor.
And remember, she wasn't the one who looked through 14,605 different futures to find a way to defeat Thanos. And if all else fails, the Sorcerer Supreme could manipulate time in order to evade or undo any damage. And how about the non-Avenger beings lurking in the dark corners of the MCU? Yeah, Surtur's eternal flame was taken away from him, but this demonic beast was strong enough to pose a threat to Thor. And you know how we feel about Thor's abilities compared to Captain Marvel. Ego also picked the wrong fight when he exposed his true nature to Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. While Star-Lord's celestial connection to Ego allowed him and the other Guardians to have the upper hand against his evil father, Carol Danvers, without any connection to the living planet, would have had a harder time gaining an upper hand. Danvers' ability to seemingly control any radioactive ray sent her way doesn't mean that time is on her side. And without the Eye of Agamotto, she'd likely have a tough go of trying to overtake Dormammu.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
And Adam Warlock needs a cocoon in order to maintain his near invulnerability, but with that in mind, he has a level of power that rivals Captain Marvel's cosmic energy bending strength. Then there's the mammoth Galactus, devourer of worlds. While Captain Marvel's punched planets, this giant guy named Galactus eats them for breakfast, and Carol would need to do more than punch laser-like blasts at the cosmic entity. Usually, a character with seemingly limitless set of superpowers often appears to limit the storytelling opportunities. Just look at the Superman sequels from the 1980s. The writers seemed to run out of ideas when they kept trying to outdo set pieces and create kooky situations for the man in blue tights. Captain Marvel, whether she's the most powerful MCU character or not, will remain interesting as long as they embrace all of her out-of-this-world abilities and challenge the relationship she shares with the other Avengers. That's what will keep bringing us back to the theater to see her future stories. Stan Lee and the creative team at Marvel Comics always came up with new ways to keep our heroes on their toes. With beings like the Beyonder, the Living Tribunal, the One Above All, and many others, there are enough superhumans, gods, and everyone in between to keep Captain Marvel on her toes for years to come. The minute we let our guard down, the Marvel team will shock us with something so new, crazy, and vaguely familiar at the same time that we'll be filled with a new level of surprise and nostalgia. It's that feeling that keeps bringing us back to the latest Marvel movies and keeps us rooting for our heroes as they face off against the next seemingly all-powerful nemesis. Captain Marvel may be the next hero to beat in the MCU's unending series of films, but she needs the full force of the Avengers by her side in order to keep the peace on Earth and beyond. And that's our story, true believers! You've got to admit that the creative team at Marvel has given us enough to speculate about for years to come. But until the next film comes out to change our hearts and minds, let us know your own thoughts on the comments section below. Commenters, assemble! And when you're done commenting, check back into ScreenRant for more videos just like this one.